My title is hospice social worker, and the population that I work with is older and disabled adults who are terminally ill. One of the main responsibilities in my typical week are doing home visits. I see patients actually in their homes where they're being cared for by either family members or hired caregivers. And a lot of it is assessment and observation, asking a lot of questions, listening. Listening is a huge part of what I do during my week. It's very important to be able to not just hear what people are saying, but to actually listen to what they're saying. It really helps give a good, clear picture of what their situation is and what their goals are. And another big part of my week is documentation. That's a huge part of any human services position, documenting everything that you do, showing that you have exhausted every option available to help somebody who is in need, justifying the options you've given them. So documentation is actually a very main part of my work week. Um, what I find most enjoyable about this work is just getting to listen to people, hear their stories. Um, I learn probably just as much from them as they do from me, just based on their life experiences, their perspective on things. It just helps me to be a more well rounded person, but it also helps me to learn from one person to the next, things that work, things that don't work, different ways that I can be of service to them. And it's just very fulfilling to just kind of have living history right there and, just hear their unique perspective on different parts of life. It helps me to be, more prepared for my old age and to help my own parents. And so it's really, a very reciprocal relationship when you get to talk with older adults and learn so much from them. And, at the same time, you're really helping them and doing great services for them. Some of the skills necessary for succeeding in this position are absolute listening skills. You must be able to listen, um, because so much of what we do is, we're really trying to tailor a care plan specifically for that person that is sitting in front of you. And listening to what their needs are and their concerns are is so important. So that would be the biggest skill that I think is necessary. Also, you have to have really good just general communication skills. You're going to be talking to a lot of referral sources, presenting people in a professional way, trying to make community connections, to presenting to groups, so that you can do the best that you can for the people that you're serving. One thing that I like least about this work is probably what you could call the red tape, the bureaucracy. There's a lot of regulation, which, is unavoidable in any kind of human services because most human services are either government funded, grant funded, and there's a lot of regulations that need to be followed when you're administering any kind of human services. So that can be frustrating sometimes to have to work within those constraints. But it really does present a good opportunity to be creative and to find other solutions that might be working or kind of patch together a whole bunch of different solutions and resources for people to help them meet their needs. Some of the biggest challenges working with um, older adults is probably just, I wouldn't say lack of resources, but sometimes there's very limited resources for what they need, especially when it comes to providing caregiving at home, finding alternate living situations, especially now with COVID. That's been very challenging. But like I said before, it really, opens up an opportunity to be creative and think outside the box. And it helps us kind of innovate and come up with new solutions for people. One thing I wish I had known when I first started in the field of human services was just the emotional energy that it takes to to provide assistance to people and to listen. It seems like we have a very sedentary job physically, but really it's emotionally and mentally taxing at times. And sometimes, I would get home and be very exhausted and think, why am I so tired? I didn't work that hard today. But really, when you think about it, when you're listening to people and observing and assessing and then trying to come up with solutions, it can be pretty mentally taxing and emotionally taxing. So, the advice I would give to human services students who are about to graduate and start their career is just to make time for yourself. Make sure that you have time to recharge your batteries. Sometimes you're going to see things that really bother you, um, terrible situations or situations that make you feel like I wish I could do more. But you really need to take the time to care for yourself. And if you establish some really healthy self care routines right from the beginning, you're going to be set up for a very long and fulfilling career.